All right, this is Space Age of Man Playtest 2, following up on Dell's playtest from a couple of days ago. Dell ran me through the first playtest. We've made some changes to the rules, we've made some additions, and I'm running the second playtest for Dell. We are on the American moon base New Haven, picking up at the end of Dell's first session. However, we are advancing time. The current tech science level of the scenario is interplanetary flight, industrial and mechanical hardware, simple software-driven aids, software aids to operate machines based on human-coded inputs. Our current situation: 3 months ago, an anomaly destroyed the Russian moon base. Russians have accused Americans of sabotage and have called the bilateral UN coalition to investigate the site and determine what happened. The anomaly has left a crater and ruins of the old Russian station, and a monolith of unknown origins orbits the moon. It is highly irradiated and therefore has been left uninvestigated. And that is where we're going to set the stage here. And with that, let me go ahead and expand my screen so I'm not recording. Right, okay. So, with that said, tell me where you're at, Bennett, as you are going to set your space in time here. 3 months in, you're overrun with UN investigators that are taking up living quarters on your moon base. They have to be housed. They're not. They may be living in some temporary structures that were built along the Russian moon base edge with temporary power sources, generators, etc., to investigate. Obviously, you know what was witnessed by Simon Jones and the crew that were there when they saw this monolith blow up, or I should say, launch a. However, since then, that's ceased to exist, and now this monolith just orbits the moon, right?
Okay.
So whatever that was is uninvestigated. The UN is not sharing with their findings, but they are somewhat burdensome, as there may be 12 or 15 of these UN investigators that have been transported up here.
That's running through my mind as I'm jogging on the treadmill, trying to keep my my exercise level up. In relation to my blood pressure, as things have risen in tension, especially the convoluted and congested hallways of all these refugees that have come into the space, and we're trying to keep them. It's very, very rare that I get a moment away, and this is where I've usually found some solace. In my bedroom jogging, my eyes keep darting out toward the window and looking out toward that craters and that monolith that's just hovering above the previous Russian moon base off in the distance past the ravine and crop of rocks. It seems like we're holding things together with duct tape, as they say, barely, as Jones is turned out to be a good addition to my security detail. I'm kind of slightly worried about Simmons, as they should have picked up his attitude from the psychological evaluations that they were supposedly tests. So my mind goes over my crew. Mm-hmm. And I've watched them in action over the last 3 months trying to handle things. I look out over the side and I see where they have taken and set up habitats almost to structure to hold them. They're almost to completion where we can move out these refugees and keep them in a place that may be a little bit more secure instead of having them intermingle amongst the Americans here. And that'll be a load off me. And that we don't have to monitor that so much, but keep them quarantined in the area. A lot of the talk back and forth and what we've called from them hasn't really borne any fruit as far as I've seen, as of yet, as far as any kind of any kind of hostility toward our base. Or whether there's any kind of indication of sabotage from any of these. But I can reckon order that they are just part of a situation where they were destitute and left in our care. You know, is it like that? Even though I'm getting pressure from Earth side, from planet side about about what the Russians are accusing us of. I've been keeping that information from our Russian refugees here as much as possible and clamp down. And that's another reason I'm wanting them off base.
Okay.
And I'm ending my run now and getting off and pop another vitamin and rub my eyes. It's like I've been losing my sight a little bit.
Okay. Coinciding with that is you put a halt to the treadmill and you're stepping off the treadmill. There's a chirp from the intercom, and you see a red light coinciding with that chirp as it flashes.
Bennett here.
This is Tyler. We have a decompression on Unit B-17 in the southern sector of the moon base.
Oh, geez, can you lock all the? Have you started proceeding to lock all the bulk?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We
down?
have contained. We have contained the. But we don't know what's caused.
Any casualties?
We don't know. No, we have 2 confirmed dead, but nobody has actually entered the space. But this occurred in the last 3 minutes or so. He sounds pretty calm.
2 of ours.
What's that?
2 of ours. Is it with a question?
Well, B-12, living unit south. So yeah, most likely they are people under the American, part of your units here, right? But not necessarily security units.
Okay.
Might be a minor or a family or what? Right.
That's fine. I'm on my way.
Okay.
I click it off and then put on my jacket and head out.
Okay.
Go down the corridor to my security level.
The confines, again, as you've already stated, to confirm, it's tight spaces, right? These are already tight spaces.
Go through sideways as people are.
And often have to stand and let other people pass. It is not conducive to quick movement or easy movement through here. And of course, there are some families that live up here. There are workers who have brought their families. So you sometimes have kids in the corridors, etc., etc. You make your way
the smell is a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. You make your way to the. Again, your quarters wouldn't be far from the offices,
no.
Right? So it doesn't take you but maybe a couple of chambers in. And Tyler is where he normally is, manning the operation center. You do see Simmons over in the corner having coffee, smoking a cigarette. There's no sign of your other officers. Some of them are off duty. Some of them are maybe doing rounds, or they have they're policing. Who knows, right? Whatever your duty roster says they're doing, right?
Simmons, put that shit out. You're not supposed to be smoking in here. You know that. And I'll point to the sign.
Yeah, he kills it. He kills it and groans.
Already smells like shit over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk over to Tyler. Let me see what you're looking at.
Yeah, so he pulls it up, and he has a video of the chamber. Again, it's not video into their private domicile, but into the hallway into their living area, and you can see where the decompression occurred, and the bulkheads were locked down within a matter of seconds. So Tyler was on. You do the math in your head. Tyler was on point. He got that locked down as minute the alarm went off. And you can.
Right, I squeeze his shoulder. Good man.
And but at that, from this video camera angle, there was nobody in the hall that was affected. Luckily, this hallway into that unit wasn't crowded, fortunately, because those other people could have been drastically affected by it, or at least wounded by it. Or, however, you can see it is Unit B-12, and it is in the southern neighborhood, so to speak. And Moonbase not huge, but it's big enough that you have compass points: the north, the south, the east, the west, center. So this hub is the south, and it's the B units of the south, and they might go all the way up to F units, and there might be 4 units to a letter, right? So you could have, what's that? 24 living units or 24, right? So it's almost like a living area, like a neighborhood.
That unit's interposed between the other ones that are that are there.
Correct.
Okay, pull up the schematics, Tyler, and let's get alert Joe, mechanical. He needs to get over there and start working on this. Whatever he needs.
Sir, I don't think you're going to like this. It looks like, according to the records, the one of the people living there is Joanne, sir, or at least she has been known to stay in that unit. And of course, Joanne is one of your security employees.
Is Carter not on duty now? I'm looking at the.
He pulls up.
It's been very hard for me to pull up.
In a couple of keystrokes, he pulls up the duty roster. Oh no, she's currently with the UN investigators at the Russian base, at the Russian ruins.
Oh, okay, great, good. All right.
Do you want me to notify her?
This secondary. Let her keep her mind on what she's doing here. Hopefully we'll have things sorted out by the time she gets back. But we do need to send a detachment over there. If you could pull up Simmons, and I'll gesture toward him.
Okay. Yeah, he's already kind of sauntered over. It's mingling close by, so all he has to do is stand to attention.
Yeah, I want you to make sure that you can provide a way and a corridor for Joe and his maintenance crew to get set up and start working on that thing. Keep the civilians at bay and other personnel. Mm-hmm. All right, you know what you want to do. So get over there and make way.
Yeah.
Call Jones if you need him.
Okay. Yeah, he exits, and he's
good buddies you are.
He's out. He's out the door. He doesn't respond affirmative. He just takes his orders and goes. Right. Yeah. You see him pocket. He put the cigarette out, but he did not destroy the cigarette. You see him pocket the cigarette into his.
I don't say anything about it. I just let it go. Mm-hmm. I know we're all, doing that from time to time and blowing it outside. He just doesn't need to do this in a vacuum sealed area like we're in.
Okay. In these crowded corridors, depending on the luck of the draw, it may take him 15 or 20 minutes to get to the southern living quarters, right? It's again, this moose base isn't gigantic, but it's plenty big enough to start a colony, right?
Okay. And I can we can keep a tab on him, obviously, as I look down at Tyler, and we can see Simmons moving out along the corridor as he's pinging.
Okay.
On the thing. So I'll make sure, but that's 15, 20 minutes that he's out of my hair.
Okay.
At least in the meantime, and I get him working. That's it.
Okay.
I'll look up and look out toward the, as wonder how Carter's faring over there, and I'll look out toward that, the little detachment where the UN and they're investigating. Now, you mean they're investigating the monolith, or they're investigating the moon? For the Russians, the moon base, right?
No, they're the Russians have what survivors have stayed with you. Some went home when the transport ships brought the UN investigation coalition up to investigate what happened. Some Russians went back. Some have stayed here as workers or refugees, but no one is staying at the Russian moon base. It is unsafe.
Oh, yeah, they're just seeing if it was if we're to have any kind of
you clearly have jurisdiction. Sure, you do. It's entirely up to you how far you. Right. So far, the only responsibility you've done is apply security to their investigators when they go to the right. So you might have had some word of looters about the Russian. In this 3 months, there would have been pirates and looters trying to take advantage of the rebel.
I got Hampton and Carter over there on the security detail, kind of leading them to the area, as they were involved with the original situation anyway. So they're kind of tracking through and answering. They've been given leave by me to do that. Not any detailed question,
right?
But what their experiences was on the way there and back, and what had happened. Full disclosure, according to what I issued them to do.
Right.
But they only know so far. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I am concerned about their radiation levels of what went off and the energy dispersion. Mm-hmm. Has there been more pulsations coming from that area?
Not yet. There has not been any. There has not been any more pulses. There's not been any more moon quakes.
Okay.
Right. And so solar flares, of course, are something you may deal with. Randomly.
That's fine, but that's obviously why I gave a little leave that it was okay now for them to approach that area, even though they've all been juiced up and they've taken iodine pills and they've been prepared and extra plated to go over there in that area. But I'll say pull up Joanna. This is the first time they've been out there since, see how communication is.
Okay.
Tyler.
He hails.
Pull her up.
Yeah, he hails. And you hear him say,
Carter, channel.
This is headquarters. Carter, this is headquarters. Respond, please. You hear a crackling comes in. Sounds better than it did during the pulses and during the aftermath of the original quake. And she chimes in. This is Carter here.
I lean over. Carter, how are things proceeding?
Fine. We've got a couple of irritated investigators here, as it appears as if there's been some recovery of some Russian hardware, and there may be some looting that's occurring. And of course, they are implying that it's got to be Americans doing it, because who else would be out here doing this?
Yeah, who else indeed? Toward us.
I think you locked up. You may have to repeat.
I said, us indeed. It could be anybody. If any other nations launched and landed here, but I can see where all eyes will be swiveled to us. So we need to mind our P's and Q's. Continue full disclosure. Now I have her on a secure channel. I'm looking down right now at the red beep says they're getting closer to that area, leaving. Adjusted by satellite as it's tracking them. Mm-hmm. Satellites not only point in toward planet-side Earth, but they point out now too, right? Mm-hmm. So, as we're doing that, I said, just mind yourself, and I want a full report when you get back, okay? Mm-hmm.
She said, yeah, and if these guys get in my face again, sir, I'm going to lose my temper.
You don't want to do that. I pay you to keep your temper.
Yeah.
All right? Well, you're dealing with them, you'll be reporting to me otherwise. Mm-hmm. So keep yourself about it. Just do your job, pay attention, answer what they got, and let me deal with the fallout and ramifications of that. Mm-hmm. All right, get it out. I don't even wait for her to freaking confirm. Just click it off.
Hampton is with her. You've already said that. So Hampton's with her, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So she over and out. She's out. You can see the blips. They're approximately 300 yards from the outskirts of the ruins, where over the last 3 months there's been some securing of the facilities, making sure they are sound. They have set it up again with some living units for some of the Russians the Russians have set up temporary living units with generated power for Russians to do some work there. So there are Russians. They're just not living in their moon base. They're living in temporary shelters along the outskirts of their moon base. So you do know there are Russians active at that site. The UN coalition has been brought in to investigate the whole thing, mostly at accusations that Americans sabotaged the Russian base. Within 10 minutes or so, you hear a chirp, and it's Simmons barking over the intercom. Yeah, we're here at the bulkhead. It's secure, and he says, I've looked through the porthole, and unfortunately, yes, there is evidence that we've had some decompression. And he said, but until we can secure the shelter, I can't get in there to investigate what caused the breach. But right now, it looks as if it. And he tells you from. Matter of fact, let's make a engineering roll as he describes this damage to you that he can see from the porthole.
No.
Okay, he describes it, but it's vague. You can't tell from his description whether this was a failure, mechanical failure, electrical failure, or if it's some kind of sabotage. From his description, he's not able to give you enough good detail from this vantage point.
All right, you may want to suit up and get another vantage point from outside.
Affirmative. So, affirmative. And he said, and just to let you know, I've called Jones. He's on his way. I'll suit him up too. Out.
That's fine. Take Joe with you. Somebody's got to work on that if they can do anything quick to fix. All right. Been and out. I click off and turn around and look at Tyler. Give me next satellite pass. Give me as many pictures as you can around that Russian base.
Affirmative.
And look specifically. Zoom in and see if we can see any tracks leading from areas. Mm-hmm. whether they're wheeled or bipedal. And we can see about these looters, even from our area. All right? So, let me know when
he starts typing stuff in and trying to pull up actual records that may have already been actual normal surveillance that may have already been done. And he's tapping away on the keyboard. Affirmative. Meanwhile, I'll look at what surveillance records we may already have on file, and he's working on that.
You do, and I want some fresh ones too. So add those to the pile.
All
right. Good man, Tyler. Squeeze your shoulders, push off from the where I've been leaning over it.
Right.
And straighten up. I think I need to go see the doctor.
Okay.
Not only for that little high blood pressure pill, but also to reconnoiter what is exactly going on there. Plus, she's kind of cute, so I'm head that way. And I push out of the security room, and door slides shut.
Okay.
I take a left and start going down the corridor to medical.
Okay. Right. As you're working toward medical, you I don't know how you feel about this guy, but you see one of the Russians who's kind of been a pain in your ass since he's been relocated here. His name is Ivor. And Ivor makes contact with you as you're headed. You have to go in his direction as you're working through these crowds. And you see him see you, and you see him light up as he sticks a hand up like he's gesturing to get your attention. And he is a Russian officer from that moon base, so he's got a little bit of authority. He carries himself with a little bit of. He's not just an operator or a technician. He was a supervisor / manager, officer type. And
I get the kind.
He's so he is now making his way. He now knows you've seen him, and he's making his way directly toward you through these corridors.
Okay, like that. Just my visit with the doc has been dashed, at least for the moment. As I pull into the side, and I'll let people pass and wait for him to come up.
Okay.
And when he gathers my eye.
Yeah. He gets in close.
What's the problem now?
He gets in close, so close you can smell his body odor. He's not maintaining a level of hygiene accustomed to the American ways, so to speak. Not uncommon, right? But and
more toilet cheese. What's going on, Ivan?
He says we have concerns. We have had Russian looting. We have had the stealing of Russian parts and hardware. This can't be. We cannot allow this. What are you doing about it?
What Russian parts and hardware do you have in the base here?
No, at the Russian ruins. The UN, and he digs out of his pocket a folded up list in Russian, shows you that here's an itemized list of stuff that has gone missing since the initial recovery from the Russian ruins. What are you doing about it?
You're fairly informed to be inside of my base here without appropriate ability to access and communicate with your superiors.
Oh no,
you seem awfully informed.
I have the UN approach me. They know they must keep. They must ask me if I am aware of these items. So they come to me and they say, "Were these items accounted for?" And I say, "Yes." Well, they're missing now. I now know. What are you doing about it?
It has to be Americans. That's my point being, Ivar. You know the UN's here. They've informed you. You know why they're here. And they're entailing right now to go and assess the situation. As soon as they get back, I know whether I like it or not. You're not going to have to come to me with answers. They will let you know the same way I know.
This is looking
bad. You just keep your people in line while they're on my ship. Right now, your habitats are almost done. We'll move you over there where you don't have to being opposed by us, and you can be amongst your kind without having to worry about that or your belongings while you're here.
Why don't you deputize some of my people and put them in secure units over there to guard our moon base? Why won't you do such a thing?
Why don't you do that when you're there? Ivar. That's what I'll let you do,
But
and
we will be
focus
robbed
on
blind by
yours.
then. All of you Americans will have stolen our secrets and our hardware, and you will have stolen all of our. I mean, it'll be too late by
Secrets,
then.
Ivar. I kind of break a little bit, and I pound on the portal out there, which you could see from a angle. We've stolen
Yeah,
what
make
you've decimated.
make a command check with that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he flinches as you express yourself with a little bit of violence against the bulkhead, so to speak, right? And kind of steps away, and you notice everybody in this tube corridor kind of stops and looks, and then they assess what's happening, and then they get back about their business as you then say to him,
Yeah. You take care of your business, and I'll put my finger on his chest, slightly push. And I'll take care of my business here and my people. You take care of yours and your people. As long as they don't get in the way of my business, we will be separated soon. You'll be in your habitats
Fine.
that I am providing for your people.
Do not say
That the
do not
Americans
say
are
that I
providing.
did not do not say that I did not approach you and warn you and did not ask for your help. Remember this. I have asked for your help. I can't be totally responsible for how my people feel as this gets worse.
Until we get data back from the UN's findings, we can't make assumptions that we don't know little or nothing about. We can't go off that way, Ivar. Right, you know this, and I drill into his eyes as well as I. You take care of your people, then we will have the findings presented to us, and then we will both be responsible for taking care of the problem.
Okay. He wads up the sheet that he got from the UN, the list of things that have been found missing, and he stuffs it in your pocket as he walks away. Leaves you with this wadded, itemized list of the things that they know are missing from the ruins. And he makes his way through the crowd, leaving this balled up in your pocket.
That's fine. I'll take it out, flatten it a little bit, and then put it in my breast pocket.
Okay.
Quarter folded.
Okay.
And then,
Do you know any Russian at all? Read or write?
as commander, yeah, I do know. I do know since they are on the moon with us, right?
Okay. So let's make a
there
secure,
has
as you
been-
glance at that, as you flatten it out and just in passing, glance at the list, make a security roll for me.
Gotcha. No.
No. Okay.
Just
Okay,
critical
so-
enough, 'cause it seems to me parts of vehicles that I don't know their specific scientific lingo for, but maybe I can get through passable Russian
Okay.
within conversation.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. So you're headed to the doctor. You arrive there and in short order now that you're not being hijacked by Russians and individuals. So as you approach, the doors again can be punched open, or you can wait for the feeble reading device to open the door for you. Right as you approach.
No, I'm old school. I punch it and
Yeah.
it slides open. I step in.
And the minute it
Maria?
does, she turns because she wants to identify who's coming in, and she smiles. Bennett, what can I do for you? And you see her working with
It's good to
another
see you,
Russian, and he looks away from you. He's a young man, probably in his 20s, scruff. He's Russian by his uniform, but he doesn't make eye contact. Looks away, and you see him there. She's doing some first aid on him.
Yeah. So I glance at him, acknowledging. So how's your patient?
She steps aside, says, she kind of steps up on your chin. Step over here a second. And
I'll double glance at him. I'm trying to figure out how avoidant he is of me, for what reason, if there's any subliminal or sublime hostility toward me. Right.
Well, he definitely didn't smile when you came in, and he is keeping his face. He's looking down. He's keeping his face. You're looking at the side or the back of his head mostly, but she nudges you over a few steps away and says, "This gentleman here has got some some burns on his hands, superficial burns. And she kind of nods in his direction. You can
Does it
see.
look like
What's that?
Frostbite?
No,
Or-
these are from some type of explosion of some kind. They look like they're from.
And what is fresh burn? Is this
Yeah,
been 3 months?
I'm treating them right now. I would say fresh within the last hour.
What section did he just come from?
I have no
Did he
idea.
have to tell you?
He
I
just came.
glanced over at him again.
He just came scrambling in and showed me his hands, and I went to work treating his burns.
We had an incident over in the southern area in one of the modules that I sent a team out to reconnoiter and possibly rectify the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But there could have been an explosion that went off there
Hmm.
that he was involved in. That's the only thing I know right now as far as what's occurred in the base, especially. So you say he's been sitting in here for how long?
Oh, it's been his wounds are within an hour or so, but he's only been here 30 minutes. I mean, you can see she was just wrapping up, literally finishing up fresh bandages. She treated him. So you can see he's sitting there with his hands freshly bandaged white, right?
Okay. She probably doesn't know Russian to any great degree, I suppose, but
yeah, we can make let's go ahead and make a command check and let's find out.
no.
Okay.
I
So
look at her and
no,
I'm almost
she
gonna
wrinkles
say
her
that.
nose. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost going to say that. Then I stop short and I say, "Do you mind if I know the bedside chat is usually your forte, but perhaps I'll stand in. Maybe I can see what happened to him." I look almost questioningly like I need her approval for it.
I mean, you're the head of security. You ask him anything you want. She said, "I can tell you, he's not going to die. He's fine. His hands are. I've cleaned his wounds. I've treated him. I've wrapped his wounds. He can effectively go, but I haven't dismissed him yet. I was going to give him an antibacterial shot. So
that. Dolly around a minute and let me speak with him. Check his vitals.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Just buy me a little time and I'll talk with him.
Yeah. And she says, "So I'll go get a antibacterial."
Okay.
Yeah. And so she lets him know she's going to be back in a moment, and she exits, leaving you there. There's 2 other treatment rooms in this particular medical pod. Glass windows into those. Those are to isolate people. Those are empty. Nobody else is in here. Right? It's just
that's fine. I'm not going to have any kind of imposing posture about it. I'm just going to try to, in my best Russian, try to reach out and be friendly. And in Russian, say, "So, my friend, the burns. Seems you have burns on your hand. The doctor, he said you're going to be all right. She's just going to get some antibiotics now. But how did you come about those?"
Yeah, he looks at you and speaks Russian. He does not even attempt English. He looks. You see, as you speak to him, he doesn't make eye contact just long enough to acknowledge you're speaking to him, but his eyes take in your uniform, your rank, your name while you're speaking to him, and then he responds, "Oh, it was just an accident."
Well, you're our guest here, so I hate to see the accidents happen, and I am over this colony, so I want to make sure that you're secure and nothing comes harm to your people, as you've already been through quite a lot. And I kind of gesture over my shoulder in the direction of his previous moon base. Did you happen to lose anyone there?
Yeah, you see his countenance, you see his jaw muscles stiffen as he clenches his jaw, and his eyes harden, and he nods, begrudgingly nods affirmative to that.
I'll stick out my hand and say my name in understanding, and I'll say Jonathan Bennett.
Yeah, he just sticks his damaged hands up in front of you.
I'll back up like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I'll still linger like your name.
Oh, yes, Sergey.
Sergey, what did you do at your base?
He takes a second, making out your Russian. I was a technician, electrical technician. Why? Do you have work for me here?
I'm sure the idle time is getting under your skin, no doubt. There could be work for you, indeed. Obviously, if you're familiar with navigating with a vac suit, so you might be able to pinning the psychic valve, etc. But joining our mechanics and construction crews in installing in putting up your habitat. Are any of the other of your other comrades here able to do that?
No, we all, as you will know, you have delegated us all living forward to a quarters. We are all living cramped in these little two-man quarters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish, though we're in space, that we had more of it. Yet we're suffering the same effect. I assure you. It's cramped for us all, but that is the reason why we're trying to install the habitats. And the quicker they can be put up, the quicker your people can have relief, and us as well. And if you know any of your crewmates that can be potentially usable in that endeavor,
of course, all of us would like something to do. He again motions, unfortunately, like looks at his hands like, how can I do this? But yes, all of my comrades would be more than willing to help. Either repair our base or build shelters. We are wasting our time sitting here doing nothing.
I'm sure that there will come a time when you repair your base, but there is a certain detachment that is out there right now trying to determine what exactly happened to your base and whether it's safe or not to go back to.
Yeah, when you hinted what happened to his base, again, his eyes hardened at you, and he kind of we know, insinuating he knows what happens to his base. You bastards did it, right?
Oh, yeah, I take notice. That's what I'm doing, the psychic valve of my own as far as his intention toward me.
Yeah.
So I see that, but I carry on the same way. And say, so this would be good. It would give you at least a place to work and stay.
She enters while you're talking and shows him the syringe and begins to pull his jumpsuit down so she can get to his arm while you're talking. You notice his dog tags, his identification, hanging around his neck, and you notice he's got some kind of tattoo. You would need to know more Russian lore, more Russian culture to know what this tattoo refers to. Right, and she jabs him with a needle while you're speaking to him. Go ahead.
I'll back up off. Let the doctor do his work.
Her work. She's back with a needle.
Her work. Let your comrades know. Compile a list and give it to me, and we will start toward that end. And it was nice meeting you. I'm saying as I'm backing out, and I hold the handheld and push myself out of the room. And Maria. Thank you. I say as I shut the door behind me.
Right.
Exiting them.
And then, again, you hear a chirp from the closest intercom, Tyler kind of breaking up, and then you hear Jones override that. As Tyler was going to basically say something, but Jones speaks over him. Hey, this is Jones. We've got some preliminary reports on that B-12 unit.
You do. Where you at, Jones?
I'm
back with Tyler.
No. I'm. Okay, he's at B-12 right with Simmons, right? Yeah. Okay. But Tyler's tied him to the intercom, right?
Yeah. Spit it out.
Right, because I'm outside right now. It looks as though something exploded from the outside or from the inside out. It's an open hole, but everything is blown out. He said Simmons is inside now, but has yet to identify exactly what caused the breach. but it is on the top third, like octagonal. I would assume these are like octagonal, like living units, right? They all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
the top.
okay.
It's that top panel. So it blew out the top. So he's still inside trying to determine exactly what would have blown this hole into the top half or top
Okay.
third.
All right. I'm heading back to the security. Filter all information to Tyler. I'll be there shortly. If you can find any residue or any evidence, collect it, bring it back so we can evaluate it, as well as, hold on, Tyler,
Yeah.
look up and give me who resided in those living quarters.
Yeah. He pulls it up and
they're located.
he said it looks like a Simon Brown
Simon
and
Brown.
his young son, Paul. And the name doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not somebody that you
What did
readily know.
What did he do?
He was a maintenance. Well, for the lack of a better term, he was a janitor.
All right. All right. I'm heading back.
All right.
All right, Jones.
Yep.
Y'all wrap it up there. See if Joe needs any help. Facilitates. One of you stay with him, with Joe and his team, and make sure that things get there. The other one, bring me back the information that you find,
Yeah.
or take any kind of evidences to have them examined.
Okay. So as you arrive back at operations, Tyler is currently on the intercom. You can't understand what he said, but he gets off the intercom, or he gets off, I should say, the radio unit, and he said as you come in, he just completes a conversation, and he says that was Hampton. They've got some kind of a problem out there at the ruins, but I couldn't make out everything. But he's asking for a medical unit.
Holy shit. This is not good. And I'll lean over and see where the beeps are of where Hampton would be and whatever, and the rest of them aren't really, I would think.
Yeah, you don't have any tracking on the UN people. You would have tracking for your people, but the UN people have got some anonymity, right?
Okay, he's requesting a medical team. Get
Yeah.
to work on that, Tyler. But pull up Hampton right now and let me speak with him.
Okay, so again, he tries to help through this transmission. It's broken up, and again, Hampton on the unit. Worse than it was when you talked to Carter earlier. When you spoke to Carter, it was
they're
pretty
more in center mass of the location right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is what I was expecting. Okay, I'm gonna still try to repeat. I will try to send some kind of a marquee text, you know what I mean, to their location, or some kind of a, with a basic directions, and remove, if possible, medical on its way. Like come out or evacuate if possible,
Gotcha.
and meet you, medical team on way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and it breaks up, but you do make out an affirmative from Hampton that he's gotten the order, right?
Gotcha.
Okay. But you could tell from the quality of the connection, it would have been difficult to actually have a conversation with him in any detail. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As you complete that, Simmons comes in. He's still wearing the basically sweating as he has disrobed from the evac unit, but he's not fully dressed. It's like he got out of that unit and started heading toward you. He's not pulled up his he's just not pulled up his it's like jumpsuit. He hadn't pulled it up. It's kind of hanging around his waist. You can see his undershirt.
What is it, Simmons? Yeah,
he comes in. He comes in and says, He goes. So he basically sits down, a little nervous, and he shows you what he's got collected, and he said, He said, I don't know if I can tell, but I suspect this is some kind of blast. This is some kind of gelatin blast powder. This wasn't a natural malfunction of the unit. but I can't be certain. But he shows you what he's collected. But he said, he goes, from my days, I think this is not an electrical malfunction or a etc.
Sabotaging. We've had 2 die. Brown and son of him, the custodial that lived there. So I still want information about Brown's history, but I don't see himself putting himself and his son into peril like that. This has been this is a sabotage, and we know that we're harboring potential saboteurs here. And then I watch Simmons' smile just kind of escape in his face, his facade, and break open.
Yeah, no, he seems pretty, not only, of course, he's always a grouch, but he's sweating profusely as he's been working in this evac suit, and he's hustling through the corridors to get to you. So he's tired, he's huffing a little bit. He's on the wrong side of 40. He's about your age. Right.
Yeah, but he's also very hostile toward the Russians anyway. So
yeah, But
so,
you can tell he hasn't put 2 and 2 together that this was caused by Russians, but he certainly thinks.
Yeah, but when I say we're harboring saboteurs, that's why I said
exactly.
Smile's going to break up on his face and betray his facade a little bit, and that's when I say you
exactly
calm now, Simmons. That's why I didn't want Simmons walking in the door when you said he did, but Jones, but I didn't specify.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jones is still in the evac checking.
There.
He's still out there, yeah.
I would have preferred Jones to come in with a level head.
Well, Simmons was investigating inside, so he's the one that recovered the evidence, right? Right.
I know. Just keep a lid on it, Simmons. Right now, you're going to keep your cool. I don't want you. This is what I'm leaning into him a little bit. I want to press upon him that he doesn't need to take this and run with it and become overtly hostile toward.
Yeah, let's make a command roll on that.
It fails.
Okay. He acknowledges with a nod, affirmative, but you can tell from his countenance. Let's hope he doesn't run into any Russians when he goes to dinner, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I know. If it steals in or not is going to be where I send him afterwards, right? Okay. Now I'll pull up. Sit there for a minute. Better yet, go change. Get yourself presentable.
Yeah.
All right. I'll chide him a little bit about his appearance or whatever.
Yeah, he's starting to put one side of the jumpsuit, his arm in one side, and get the other side as he stumbles out. Again, you can tell from his countenance, he's concerned about this, but yeah, you're hoping. I don't know what you're hoping, but maybe it'd be better if it's fear and less anger. But who knows what he's really feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll pull up Jones on the thing. Tyler, pull up
Bennett.
Pull up Jones.
Bennett here. I mean, Jones here.
Yeah, he's having an identity crisis.
He's like Ripley. Ripley. He's forgetting which person he is, right?
All right, Jones. Listen, disheveled Simmons come here and talks about, and I'm getting him on a private security line, right?
Smart, yeah.
Not open Vox toward the whole. It's not over the PA system,
right?
In the place, but anyway, disheveled Simmons just come in here, blustered and talking about explosives they were planted there. Obviously, we can see that's the case. And he's obviously giving that information to you. Don't be so outwardly free with this information. Keep it under restraints. We got to secure, of course, our Russian comrades on here. And make sure what happened. If you see any, we need to take security videos of those who entered and exited the area. I'm going to get Tyler to pull those up right now and look at them. See what you can do in guard for Joe and his team out there as they try to repair, and if they can repair that but let me know ultimately what was said.
Okay.
But stand your ground there, and I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Is what I need to hear.
Affirmative. Just heads up, there. The repair crew to seal this unit are here. They want to know if they can go ahead and seal this hole, or do you want to leave it for more investigation?
No, seal it. The unit investigators have enough to investigate right now.
So you hear him. You hear him then tell them, "You boys can go ahead and patch that hole. Sooner the better." And then he's back to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And he goes, once we can balance the. Once we can restore the environment to that unit, Joe and his crew will get in there and repair the inside, and I'll do some more investigation.
Sounds good. Get it out.
And
all right,
you cracks off. Okay. So
I turned to Tyler and look, he's overheard what I said he was going to do.
Yeah, Tyler's got about 5 monitors, and he swings his chair over and says, "Bennett, take a look at this," and he pulls up the security footage that's going generally 24 hours a day in those corridors that lead into B12.
Yeah.
Or the B2, whatever I said originally, but B something, right? And sure enough, there's a lot of people pass through during the day. He puts it on fast play, and at some point, an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, he stops it at the timestamp that would have been about 10 minutes before the explosion, which would put it about an hour and a half from now. And sure enough, there's 2 Russians in uniforms, and they enter that domicile, which again doesn't have any video feed, and you recognize the one that was in the med unit with the burned hands is among them. But there were 2. You don't recognize the other one, and they come out within 5 or 10 minutes of going into that unit, which is fine. As you're questioning, they went into the unit. Brown didn't answer the door. The kid wasn't there. But to your horror, within a few minutes of them leaving, Brown and his son return and go into the unit within minutes of it exploding, right? So they had no idea. They happened to go into that unit while he was out, and they just happened to time it perfectly when they came back. So maybe the Russians wanted to kill somebody, or maybe they just wanted to cause harm to the. Unfortunately, they came home just in time to be killed, right?
Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do is lean over to Tyler and say, "Get me requisition at Ivar."
Okay. Get what for Ivar?
Post haste. That he meet me here post haste.
Oh, gotcha. So send out a call for Ivar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take that quartered, folded thing out and lay it across the table and sit there and wait for him to show up.
Okay.
Keep the video feed up.
Yeah, he also pulls up some surveillance footage that is about 24 hours old. Was over the Russian base. It's not the latest, but it's older footage, and he points out there was some activity around the Russian ruins in a lunar lander. Again, it looks like they might well be an American lunar lander. A couple of Americans in vac suits. You see him dismount, you see him go into the ruins, and then he speeds up couple of hours. He speeds through until they come out of the ruins, and they pack some gear up on the lunar lander, and they leave the video footage. So this was at some point picked up by satellites about 24 hours ago, right?
Yeah.
Hard to say whether who they were, but it was an American lunar vehicle, and it was American vac suits, etc.
Okay. Now I'll look at Tyler and say we need to pull up a list of the. Now, as far as Americans in vac suits, how many? 3?
2.
Okay. One of them had to be a pilot, so we need to get the pilot. If there's any way you can zoom in and find out the numbers or the identification. Yep. Also, the requisition of the vac suits who left the air ducts at what time, coordinate that time to be video feed. So I need that information. We need to isolate who these individuals are, and I want them in custody.
Okay, so he starts tracking all that stuff. and he's
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
tapping away and he's pulling up records, etc. He goes, it'll be a minute, but he's on it. He also sends out a
All
request.
for Ivar.
Yeah, a PA. What do you call it? Shit.
Yeah.
They have a name for it. Oh well, he puts out a call for Ivar to come to operation.
Yeah, that's all
I
said,
can't remember
too.
what you call that. Oh well, paging Ivar
Paging.
to operations, right, kind of thing. And Ivar shows up about 15, 20 minutes later.
Okay.
You get a report from the med unit you sent out to the Russian ruins. They report we're about halfway to the ruins. We'll report back again when we find out what the situation is, and that's just a standard report to you that they are not yet there. They haven't yet found Hampton, but they're on their way, so you're aware of that.
Okay. I want them to be relayed to Tyler when they get to a certain area that we know there's disturbance cut off of communication, to let them know that and where that area is. That way they know when they go beyond it, and they have a certain time limit when they go beyond it to be able to return before a rescue team after them is sent out for whoever the stragglers and remains we have. Okay, that's it.
Ivar comes in, looks about, and sizes up the operations office. Sees Tyler banging away. What's that?
Have a seat, Ivar.
Yeah.
Just across the table.
Yeah, he walks over, plops down. Meanwhile, he's looking. He's kind of taking in the environment, watching Tyler working away. Kind of frowns at you as you approach. What is this about?
As I said, we're both responsible and accountable for our own people here. And when they act according to our wishes, there are repercussions. You fear that there were Americans that were stealing tech. I've had scans of that area, and it seems that your fears are justified in that. I'm letting you know now that we are following through with attaining this to be able to return your tech to you. Now, and I'll gesture toward Tyler to pull it up as he watches the lunar lander.
Yeah, he smiles and nods, and then looks over, and he actually starts to get up to go over and so you can see more clearly on the monitors.
Okay, I'll let him do that for a moment or two as he looks in.
He looks and he says to Tyler, asks him some questions. Tyler points out the timestamp and and he turns back to you, frowns, says yes. It says this is so we do have some evidence that you have got problems within the community, and he comes back and sits down. Yeah,
but yes. I want to let you know that this was not ordered by myself. This is a rogue unit that is doing their own, and they will be accountable to me for this. There's also something that you need to be aware of. Tyler, and I just stored him. We've had a breach in one of our living units, encountered 2 death American citizens. We have again, and I'll gesture toward Tyler. Bring up the video feed.
He looks over again. This time he's looks concerned.
Okay, and this time as well, I'll slide some of that plastic, the gel compound, a little bit of them. Our security detail was able to attain this from inside.
Yeah, he looks and he says, I don't know what this is. And he looks back at the monitor, and then you see him mouth Sergey. He doesn't say it out loud, but he mouths like, and he turns to you and says, yes, I know that. I know one of those men. Are you suggesting they have done what?
I believe I do too, because not an hour hence I've been to speak with a doctor, and one of your comrades was in there being treated for burns. He coordinated, and then I'll point.
You were telling me you were suggesting that Sergey has killed 2 Americans?
I'll point toward the video itself and point the man out.
Yeah, and
that man.
He says, yes, that is Sergey. But I see only that he goes into that domicile and comes out 10 minutes later. I don't know what you're, and he looks at the stuff you slid in front of him, and he doesn't know anything. He doesn't, well, you can tell he just doesn't know what it is, right?
Well, I just told him that I had been not an hour hence at the doctor, and your comrade Sergey was there being treated for burns and not frostbite, not, superficial, but burns.
Yes.
In other words,
then I will assume you must take him into custody, right? Your jurisdiction is to take Sergey into custody?
Yes, but I need to let you know, as you are their commander too, that I don't do this. I do this legitimately. And there are reasons behind it. We do not need to have hysteria here or build malcontent toward each other's people.
He frowns and he says, no, if he has perpetrated an act, an illegal action, then you do what you must do. I can see from the footage, and if what you tell me, there will be he will be rightfully accused and ultimately able to defend himself, will he not?
I want to let you do that because you need to be aware, but you're also accountable for your people's actions. So please keep that in mind, as that some of them may harbor malcontent toward us and do this. Right now they've had free access.
Which was as I feared, as we have learned that there have been some looting and some stealing of Russian material. I knew this would only grow worse. This resentment might grow worse. So if you can apprehend and put an end to this looting, then we certainly I will talk to my people about behaving themselves.
That would be very, very appreciative, and it would allow your people and you to be able to be less restrained in the environment here, as comfortable as possible for the duration since we're so crowded. And I do want to put the reason I put that forward was to let you know that I have no ill intent or a need to thief from your people, but I have recognized that it is being done, as you suggest. We also have another issue with the UN crew. It seems that your base is irradiated now. And I just told Tyler, flick on the comm to, Carter. And you can hear it crackle and, once they get past a certain area, past the ravine into the center mass of your compound, it's irradiated. So I fear for your people's return, as I do for attachment of people that's out there right now. So it seems that as even the thieves may show some irradiation sickness. So that may be a telltale sign, but we have everybody listed who went out there and who they expect to have this and who didn't have jurisdiction or leave to head that you're quartered into Russian territory.
Right.
So we will get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, Ivar.
Right? I kind of stand up halfway.
Yeah, and he does. He stands up with you. He looks over again at the video footage and makes a face, and then turns to you and says, "Yes, this is unfortunate, but it looks as though you have already made great progress in our problem." Of the looting and the stealing, and then he says, "If I may, I will go."
Okay, I'll extend my hand and wait for him to.
Yes, he gives you a handshake, whether wet fish handshake. Right, as he's kind of in a hurry to get out. It's kind of a here it is, shake it, I'm out, right, and heads for the door. Again, you notice his countenance. He was not happy about this, but he was not. You can tell he's.
I want to see his face when he faced the truth from both angles.
Yes, his
actions from here on is going to determine.
Correct. He did not appear to be celebratory of the Russians, nor was he, and he was clearly happy that you've
Good
got
news
you've
and
got
bad
something.
news.
Right, exactly. So he exits, and Tyler points out a flashing signal on the far, at the operations unit, the flashing unit, and he slides his chair over and he barks at you as he slides over to check this flashing red bulb. And
I just sat down and expelled as the door shut whenever he, like one thing done.
and he bangs a couple of buttons and he goes, "Sir, we have unauthorized use of an airlock. It appears in the not Russian, but in the area where most of the Russians are housed. We have an unauthorized activation of an airlock." And then he tries to hail who should be there manning that airlock, the technician, and gets no response.
All right. Simmons. Pull up Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons, you see him on the track. He's coming out. Well, he's within the vicinity of his living unit, so he must have done what you said. Go home, got cleaned up. He begrudgingly, you hear him come to the intercom, and he's growling a little bit, like, "Gee, yeah, what now?" Kind of, right? He growls, "Bennett, yeah."
Yeah. Kill the attitude. We've got a unauthorized breach with an unanswering tech and the airlock in, and I give him the F-16.
Yeah.
You and Olivia need to get over there post haste and see what.
Olivia's not going to like it. She's worked a 48 straight or 24 straight hours. She ain't going to like being woke up, Bennett.
So you want to do this alone, is what you're telling me?
I can do it alone. You're just asking me to check on F-16, right?
Yeah, but I need you to walk carefully, keep your cool. Some things have been rectified with the Russians. I've already got movement in that area. Don't show undue hostility, and but stay keep an open Vox, open mic on the way there.
Okay.
We'll monitor you, and put your sidearm on.
Yeah, he says, okay. And you see on the blip on his radar, or on the little radar, you see him turn back toward his living quarters where he goes in, probably to secure his sidearm. Comes out, and you can see the blip moving toward F-16.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Jones hails and says, "Hey, we've got Jones and his crew. Not Jones. We've got Joe and his crew in repairing the inside of this unit. We've got a cleanup crew that is removing the bodies of these individuals, and Joe's also working with the tech crew to collect any other evidence that may be here. From my observation, there's no doubt Simmons is right. They used some kind of blasting plastique or something and blew a hole here." Yeah.
That's what I surmised too. That's not in question anymore. However, we do have another authorized use of an airlock going on right now. I'm sending Simmons, detaching him to deal with that. Now, you're in a location. I'd appreciate you pivoting around and looking at that airlock and seeing if there's anyone leaving said airlock.
Yeah, so let's make a roll. Let's make a command check.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so he says, you can hear him on the intercom looking out. From here, I can't see, I can't make out exactly from this angle whether somebody's outside or not, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. So if you can't from your angle, you need to move around and
he said I'll have to change. Yeah, so he says I'll go around the corner and see if I can't get a better line of sight.
Yeah, still I know I'm asking you to do double duty here. Keep the mechanics team on your Vox to be able to alert them if anything's going down.
Okay.
And stay open up to Simmons too.
Yeah.
Simmons, you there?
Yep.
Okay. I've got Jones going on the outside to see if anyone's exited from the airlock, and you take care of the inside. Now let me know what happens.
Affirmative.
We'll keep you on monitor.
Yep. And Tyler back over working. He pulls up and says, "So it looks like we got the Sergei Russian, but I don't have any identifying information on this other Russian. The only video feed I have on him is basically the back of his head. He managed to keep himself hidden with a ball cap, and so I can't recognize who this other Russian is. Sergei.
Well, there's only so many Russians on the ship, and
right.
and only so many. If we knew there's a man as opposed to a woman by the posture and the
right, yeah, it's a man. Oh, they're both men. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can determine. We can narrow that.
And he says it looks like that lander. That lander is one of our normal garage, our normal depot lander. It is one of our American buggies, lunar bunnies, that they took to the ruins. And he goes, but there's no indication of anybody checking it out. There is no record of somebody taking it out or having the right to take it out. So they somehow got out, or they somehow had somebody in that.
Turn a blind eye. Yes.
Correct. Turn a blind eye. Right.
Yeah. So I just want to know who wasn't.
That now. So he said, I'll attempt to track back based on when they arrived at the ruins. He said, I'll try to track back how long it would have basically taken them to leave our facility, and I'll find out who might have been on duty in that central garage.
In that space.
Yeah. So Tyler said, I'll backtrack the time at least and maybe get a window of who might have been operating that.
Okay. And remember, Tyler, it doesn't necessarily have to be an American just because he's wearing American apparel. So if anyone requisitioned a suit or a lander to use it or did not, just apply the video feeds. It may take you a while to isolate something, and definitely get in contact with that tech that monitors that door and dispenses the vac suits and operates the airlock, and then maybe we'll get some kind of information that we need. That'd be fruit.
So a few minutes later, you get a call from the medical unit. They've arrived at the ruins, and they said we've got Carter unconscious and in bad shape. She's not dead, but her vac suit badly damaged. She's we've stabilized her. He said, and 3 UN investigators dead. But we don't know what happened. She the medical people explained to you that Hampton was with one group of investigators when Carter came stumbling to them. So until Carter's awake, we won't know exactly what transpired. But we've got her stabilized, and we're loading her up to bring her back. We got 3 dead UN investigators.
Dead? Are their suits punctured? Are they decompressed? What are they showing?
Yeah, they're. Let's put it this way: they're not here. They're dead. Their suits. I mean, they are.
Oh, geez.
We haven't been able to recover their bodies but we can see them. We can see them, from where we're at, but we can't get to them. They're in the hole. They're in this. They're in that.
Well, I got a medical team. Yeah,
right. They're in the breach. Where the earthquake, the crevice.
The crevice. Yeah. Ravine. All right, get her. She holds information that we'll need. Something's drastically wrong. I've already dispatched a medical team that could meet you halfway to take things over. Keep her alive, stabilized until you get there, and everybody get the hell back here. Okay.
So you hear him begin to issue those commands as he shuts off the intercom, as he starts barking orders to everybody there. Again, you get held almost immediately from Simmons. He says, Bennett, I'm here. We have a tech who's in a bad way. He's been bludgeoned pretty good. He said he don't know what hit him, but there are 2 evac suits gone, and they obviously let themselves out of this airlock. And he's beat up pretty good, so he helps him up, and he says, as I glance out, I can see just in the distance there are two people in evac suits in their best speed, bouncing across the lunar landscape, right, headed toward the ruins, right.
Okay, you copying all this, Jones, right?
Yeah,
See if you can get an
Jones
eye
comes
on
on
that.
and says, yeah, because he's out there in an evac suit as he comes around. Yeah, I can see him, just barely see him on the horizon myself. Do you want me
Okay,
to?
turn
Do you
on your
want me to
video
make
feed.
chase?
Yeah, turn on your video feed.
Yeah,
Yes.
he does,
Make
and you see
chase.
it flicker, black and white. It comes up on our monitor, flickering a little bit. It's not
Yeah, off
pretty,
the
but
base of the side.
yeah, it
Yeah.
flickers and then kind of steadies. It's grainy, and you
Yeah.
from this position, they can barely see it with their naked eye. You right now through the fuzz can't quite see these two people, but you can
How
see
long will it
he's
take you to commandeer a moon buggy and get to them and
right.
catch up?
10 minutes. As long as you call ahead and tell them to make the buggy available, I won't have to go through the requisition. Have it ready for me. And you see him
Oh,
turn. You
they'll
see
be
his. You
ready.
see his camera as he turns to start headed toward the garage. Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tyler, you heard the man Simmons.
Yeah.
Get your evac suit out and be able to join him.
All right.
Do what you can.
Yep. And
Both of you, be careful.
yeah, and you hear Simmons on the same shared intercom calling the medic to the airlock to attend the technician, and then he's obviously issued an order for them to come help this guy. So within a few minutes, you get another chime from Simmons and Jones as they confirm that they're in a buggy and they're making chase
Making
on
chase.
these two individuals in an evac. Right.
Okay.
All right.
Tyler, pull up. Ivar. Ask him ever so politely if he can give me a head count on his people now.
Mm-hmm.
And get word back to me as soon as he can.
Mm-hmm.
I'd appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Yep. And
Then
you see Tyler, pull up the phone and call a particular. This is less an intercom. Is more of a phone call
Oh yeah.
to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Now I'm gonna pull up. Oh geez. And open up after he does that. I'll say open up comms to Hampton out there.
Okay.
That was Carter that got taken out, right?
Yeah,
Or was it
is unconscious and injured. Yes.
Yeah. So pull up Hampton if you will. Let's see where how things are going.
This is amazing. I only made D6 random charts, and I have yet to roll a double. I have yet to roll the same thing twice. That's pretty cool. So these have all been different events. Yeah, it's cool. Normally, when you have just 6 results, you're bound to roll the same number on something. So it's like all of this
that happened to me.
all of this different shit. It's like chaos today. It's like Monday morning.
I know that's what I was thinking.
It's like all of this different stuff.
I almost said that. Like, what the hell? This is like
This is like Monday morning, baby, at work.
oh man. Yeah, everything.
And
is jumping.
I've just rolled a 5th unique number, so that's pretty cool. Normally, you'll roll the same number more than once, and that would obviously will happen here how long we play. But anyway,
It happened to me. I think I rolled 6, and none of them were repeats.
Yeah, that's
what
amazing.
I mean?
Yeah.
And I only had a D12.
okay. So you said you're pulling up who? Hampton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see how things are going with her.
It comes in
and
very
looking over-
staticky. Not unlike moving in a lunar buggy. It tends to make the transmission less reliable. But he comes in. Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, Hampton. How's the girl? Is she holding on?
Yeah, she's unconscious. I mean, I'm not with her. The medics are with her in the second buggy, but we're making as fast as we can.
Okay, I got you on radar and see where you're moving.
Yeah.
You're getting a little clearer, so the closer in you get, you should see the medical team on the horizon. They should meet you about halfway, I guess. And that way, they're more. They got the facilities to deal with.
As
it.
you're
Neither
saying
alive
this,
and back here.
you feel the platform under your feet rock a little bit. You see the blips and the monitors all stutter.
Okay, I'm holding on to the thing.
Right,
Hampton.
Yep, and you feel a quake. You feel a moon quake. It's not epic where you're at, but it's a shudder. It's enough of a shudder to blink the monitors, to blink the lights, to move the platform under your feet. The chairs.
But I'm worried about Hampton. He's in that buggy.
Coffee mug sliding.
Hampton.
And again, that static increases greatly.
I want to see if he feels it though. Like,
and when you try to hail him, it's dead air. It's white
oh
noise,
shit!
right?
Jeez. Now I'm looking at it intensely. Those bleeps going across there.
Yeah,
I got a
they're not.
feeling.
I mean, they're not going across there. The bleeps look like they're stuck, like they're just sitting there.
Okay, and then I look over the other monitor at Hampton. Hampton, I click it off. Tyler, raise Simmons and Jones.
Yeah, and as you raise Simmons and Jones, you hear Jones. Let's actually make a. Let me double check your attributes because these are. What would this fall under for this? Yeah, this is going to fall under security. Let's go a security roll for you.
Yep. There you go.
And you do manage to get Jones. It's breaking up. He sounds as if he's in somewhat distress, and it breaks up. But you can make out from this that their lunar buggy has overturned. He kind of shares with you that they've had an accident.
You've obviously just experienced a quake. How are you and Simmons?
He says, look, I think, he's up. I think we're okay. And you hear Simmons chime in, but that is not. And then he breaks up a little bit, comes back on.
You got eyes on your quarry. Copy that. Can you overturn the buggy?
Right. Simmons, you hear Simmons respond, I still can see him. And they're getting up from the best they can. It appears as if they were knocked off their feet to some degree, right? Or sent, I should say, more, I would say airborne, but spaceborne, right? As this kind of threw them into the air a little bit. And he said, we're trying to turn the buggy now. So, and you can hear Jones grunting and groaning as they are riding the buggy.
Okay.
Right.
Now we've experienced these before. If proceed for a little while. If you're closer, you should be able to catch up with them. Mm-hmm. If not, if they go outside of the
you hear Simmons saying, "Oh, we're going to catch them." God damn it! And you hear in his voice, he's determined to catch him.
Stay calm, Simmons. Do your job. Mm-hmm. Get back here. Don't go too far out of the bounds of communication if you're having break up. Right. And then, let us know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Bin it out, and then I'll turn to the monitor again and white knuckle the side of the desk and grab that mic. Mm-hmm. And damn it, Hampton, Carter.
Yeah, you're not getting any response. The red lights still show up on the monitor on the map, right? Okay. But no response.
Shit. Now, the red lights are past the ravine, the crevasse.
On the map, they would have been like along the edge of it, right? Wherever they were when the quake hit, that's exactly where they still are. It's just they're not responding to hails, right?
It looks like the medical team were maybe in the same predicament. Hopefully we can get word with them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to open all channels. Mm-hmm. Is there just security? And Tyler, open up all channels and try to contact the medical team.
Mm-hmm. And as he starts, he opens the channels, he also notices a couple of red lights start to light up along his board, and he looks at them, and then he turns to you, and he points out that that's showing some damage to the moon base. So some areas have decompressed in the moon base from the quake, and then he immediately hits bulkhead shutdowns, and so but it's like half a dozen red lights light up on his board, and he just bulkheads shuts them down without further investigation. He doesn't say a word to you, but you can see the look in his eye, as
I immediately turn around and pull up Simmons and Jones. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Relay that chase, gentlemen. We've got more critical situations here to attend to. We've had various ruptures in the base, as well as our medical team, and that is
Okay. Make a command
detail.
roll. Make a command roll for me.
That is, yeah, 2 6s. So
Okay.
good.
Simmons, kind of pops the intercom when he yells, "Damn it!" As you can tell, he's mad. And then Jones says, affirmative, Bennett. I'm turning us around now. But you can hear Simmons is angry that they're abandoning these to chase on these two guys. But Jones said affirmative.
Don't worry, Simmons. They got to come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be ready for them.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. They might not have to.
They may not have to, yeah, but I got to tell him that crap.
You're hoping that.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to put a pin in him.
Right. All right.
I ain't showing him all my cards.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then I'm Simmons, Jones, I need y'all to redirect yourself. And I give him coordinates for the location to get eyes on the medical team in the evac. And I'm trying to strain out of the porthole right now to see if I can see any situation.
As you look out...
give me a seismic reading, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tyler pulls it up and says that it happened about a quarter of a mile from the center point of the Russian base. So it's not on the Russian base, about a quarter mile. The seismic did not coincide with where the monolith's orbiting, right? So it's not parallel with the orbiting monolith.
Well, it could be stress fractures from the monolith affecting the rotation of the planet. We don't know yet.
He tells you that seismic, which would make it about make it about 10 miles from our base, so it's fairly significant seismic.
Oh yeah.
To affect our base.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so anyway, patch those coordinates through to Simmons and Jones and get them out there. I need word about what's going on.
Right.
Have you not been able to raise that medical team?
Tyler? No, he points
Tyler.
again. He points again at all we have, which are the two flashing lights on the grid, the map grid, and it tells you they're not answering.
All right. Yeah, raise up the mechanical team on the outside that's working on the bulkhead. Obviously, they felt it, so they need to get inside here. Hopefully, they have no casualties.
Right.
Alert the tech at the station to be ready to help decompress them and get them in, the medical team. They don't have the security detail with them now. Mm-hmm. Obviously so. Damn it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'll lean out and look out the windows, still trying to see that.
And you do see coming into view Jones and Simmons' buggy pass in the direction to circle to meet them, the trajectory. Yeah. So you do see Simmons and Jones pass in a buggy on just the horizon, moving as quickly as you can, right? As quickly as they can, I should say.
Yeah.
Right. And another 5-10 minutes, they're out of sight, and another 10 or 15 minutes, you're starting to get hails from repair crews telling you that they are securing the those areas that have been breached. Right, so you're starting to get some input back that they are repairing the.
Any word from? This is starting to filter in. Mm-hmm. Tyler, any word from Ivar yet? Is our comrade called from Ivar?
No.
Remember, I asked him to give me a head count.
Right.
Okay.
No, he has not.
He's not.
Yeah, he's not. And in about 10 minutes or so, you hear a staticky, crackling. Bennett, this is Jones. We have found our medical team. Most of them appear to be
status report.
Yeah, he goes. There is a huge rift here, and it appears as if we've lost one of the buggies that would have had Hampton and somebody with him. We don't know who was with him.
Jesus.
But the Carter, unconscious with some of the medical units in the other buggy, are okay, but the buggy is damaged. So he said, we're going to bring her back in the buggy, and they're going to have to hike it in, right?
When do you bring her back? back in the buggy, and one of you stay with
Right.
Simmons. You stay with no, not Simmons. Lay that order. Jones. You stay with with the UN unit.
I wasn't even going to have to make a roll on that. You leave
I
Simmons.
know.
You leave
I
Simmons,
know.
and I've got
I'm like, I almost shot myself in the foot on
I've
that
got
one.
rope to hang you with. You leave Simmons.
All right, Jones. You stay with UN team and help monitor them back, and Simmons will be back to join you appropriately.
Right.
All right. In short order, let me know what you need as far as transport, and I'll send an extra buggy or two to
Okay.
help alleviate some of the.
Okay. So
travel.
he's with a medical person and her. He's racing back, and Simmons, of course, hasn't said much since you've told him to turn around. Right? He's not being talkative. But Jones is he's complying.
He'll be
confirming
all right.
orders. Right.
He's just sulking.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's butthurt. So but whenever they get back, Tyler, give me a reach out to Ivar again. I need to know some things.
Yep. So he puts out another call. Picks up the phone. Puts out another call to Ivar.
Okay. Now, in a minute here, I'm going to get a little irritated and step outside of the thing back into the corridor.
Okay.
Tyler, you maintain this. It'll be a little bit before they get back here, but I'm done waiting on him.
Okay.
Keep me. I'll keep the Vox open. What I'm hearing, keep me informed, real time as what's occurring, Tyler. And I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay.
And then the door shut behind me as I step out the hallway and head toward the Russian area.
Okay.
To where they're held up.
You pass through a couple of hallways, a couple of broader living quarters where they would branch into living quarters. It's fairly crowded, but as you get closer to the area where most of the Russians are housed, there are people coming toward you pretty quickly. Many of them have kind of their kids in their arms or terror on their faces. A couple stop and wave back, and they tell you that the Russians have taken. They appear to have taken control of. He lists the block, the D, starting at D block D, 4.
Okay. I curse under my breath and get Tyler. I flick the switch on the comms. Okay, Tyler, we got a situation here. Seems like our comrade decided to commandeer a section of this base. They don't like our hospitality, obviously. I want this area locked down and put a arrest warrant out for our Russian friend who we caught planting these explosives.
Sergey.
And we will find out who did the others.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm babbling a little bit slowly as I'm feeling the weight of all this, and then I'll say, I'll click it off. And I'll start walking toward that area where they've got this compound that they've set up, right?
Yeah.
Now,
so as you get close, you can see where they have secured the bulkhead, and they have manually locked it down from the other side. You can see Mel in his mid-20s peering through the porthole door as you approach it. He kind of smiles with a kind of a broken smile, bad front teeth, and then he turns and you can't hear him, but you can see him barking back to somebody, and they come to the porthole, and this is an older man. It's not Ivar, and he's looking at you as you approach the door, right?
I'm speaking in Russian. Ivar, your commander. I need to speak with him.
Yeah, he kind of shakes his head, and you hear him say back, "Ivar is not our commander." And then you see behind them kind of a scuffling, and a couple of Russians. He steps out of the window, and they slam Ivar, up against it, face up against and you see he's beaten up and bloodied pretty bad. And then they drag him down away from the window, and he steps back in. He says, "No. Ivar is not in command here."
Okay, I'll back up slowly, and like with my hands up, making sure that the hallway is not filled with anyone. And then I'll turn the corner, hit that intercom directly to Tyler. Tyler, we got a situation on our hands.
He says he barks out. He barks out, panicked. I'm getting some confirmation. The Russian quarter at A block has been sealed off. They've taken control of something. So he's kind of in a panic. So now you know that they've sealed off from D to A block in the living quarters, right? Of the where the Russians were living. They've got control of that. From A, B, C, D, which is about 16 living units. They're in control of that whole space.
All right, I need you to get a hold of McAllister. Tell that temporarily we're going to have to lock down the base.
Okay, let's make a security check on that, McAllister.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. And you want him to do what?
Yeah. I need you to express to McAllister, tell her the situation that we need to temporarily red light this and go to martial law and quarter all the citizens in the furthest bases away. This will have to be dealt with. What a day. I'll pause for a second and
that's where we'll fade to black. What a day. And we'll fade to black right there.
Click off that thing.
Right.
Is I going to think about what to do with this crap? Oh, geez.
Sweet. That was fun.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've played Naive Narrator Seat. My God, it's been since Dark Age of Man for me that I've played Naive Narrator GMing, so I'm a little rusty on both sides of the table.
Yeah.
I didn't make a 3-dice 6 RSC. I made 2 6-digit.
Six-sided.
So one was in the base. I had a chart for in New Haven, and then I had a chart for the ruins or outside New Haven.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
all of the rolls occurred because you were in New Haven. All the rolls came off the New Haven chart. If you had left the base or whatever, then I might have rolled. Or once you sent people out, I might have rolled on another chart. But I didn't. I think I might have rolled 1 on that other chart, if I remember right, which was the Russian stealing of Russian equipment. I think was on that chart from the Russian ruins.
Yeah.
Because once we established that Carter was at the ruins, when you said Carter's at the ruins, I said, okay, I can use that chart. So then I rolled the Russian stealing of Russian hardware or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that became an issue with them finding out about it in the base, which complicated things in the base. So there was
very first roll I made was right out of the gate was sabotage. That was the very first roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So
how'd it feel? Now, obviously, I'm doing less. Again, I see AC play is more difficult. I think when we have to ask you to give us some information. Right, if you're going to lead the dance a little bit, it's not always easy to stay in character as character when you're also creating some of the descriptive space. But that's, it's up to you whether it works or not. But
and it is. My position is commander was a little bit more like resource management as well as like where I was going to put my underlings and how I was going to position things
Yep.
to make sure that everything was balanced. It was just a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From
Yeah.
somebody stealing something,
Right.
using an airlock, to something blown up,
Right.
to the Russians.
And
in
I
there
can
that
only
I'm trying to
imagine that head of
broker
security,
peace with.
right? I named this particular session Aftermath. So you can imagine head of
The
security
UN detachment.
after the Russian base has been wiped out, and so it's this is all
Yeah.
chaos. A bad day might have been 4 or 5 things to worry about all day. Well, because you've got Russians and all this crap going on, it's yeah.
Well, I like the way I started it. Just like my solitude, at least to break and get away, was like just being on that treadmill and thinking and whatever, just to get away for a second,
Right.
and not walk back out into it. The
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I liked it. Yeah, I mean, again, I still think straight in character play is easier to do when the GM is really providing your all 6 of your senses, and
Okay,
you
yeah.
don't get to go outside yourself much because you're in that character headspace. I mean, we do it in Dark Age of Man all the time in character as character, but I do think it's
Well,
and
that's what I
playtesting
mean.
is tougher too. Yeah,
In space, it's not so much, because in here we had a little bit of a situation where things were going on
right.
communally,
Yes.
civilly inside of the base, and then like a detachment sending out. So I
Right.
was dealing with like I said, managing the resources, which was pretty heavy. And then these things was like fall down to the right and fall down to the left just from random siege.
Yeah.
To say that was great having to deal with these challenges. Now, if we're dealing with like somebody who isn't a commander, inside of this, as all this chaos,
Well, we kind of
going
did
about,
that.
I could have been.
Yeah, we kind of did that in your session. I wasn't a commander, but I ended up in a situation where I could only issue orders because I am not capable of fixing the power, and right. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
occurred. So some of that
Yeah.
has a lot to do too with the scenario we find our characters in. I mean, I was in a triage situation in your game where I had to kind of triage and give commands. And you are the
Yeah.
commander. You are head of security, so you were gonna be playing.
Well,
more
I think I defaulted to Jones since we had said that Simmons was a little bit of a glass cannon, that he would take the lead in it. So just through narrative, it ended up being like you was a sub. You were still exercising command roles in
right.
that in that. That microcosm of just leading that convoy out to the base, where in this situation, I'm just watching it, staying in contact with
Right.
how things are going on,
Right.
dealing with other things, other irons in the fire. So it's just a different perspective. Like in Dark Age of Man, you could be a noble, or you could be
Right, exactly.
I could play this
You're
game
playing
as Brown, the janitor.
Technically, in Dark Age of Man, you might have something like this as a lord, where you're
Yeah, but
dealing
I mean,
with
exactly.
issuing orders, making command decisions, etc. What's cool
It's super
is here you also have a command center where you can give Tyler orders. He can use computer systems to give you information. It was perfect, right? I mean, that's the point. Is you're supposed to feel like you're in command, that you've got some. Now there were key roles to either decide what kind of data I was going to give you back. So a lot of those roles were just what was I going to give you back, or actually Simmons following your orders. Knowing Simmons is motivated to stop those Russians. That command role, Simmons was either going to, if you failed that role, Simmons was going to drive Jones off after those guys and disregard your order, right? Which creates another dilemma. Now you've got a
Compounding
security guy
dilemma.
who's gone rogue, right. But you made that role,
So which is true, and you made a lot of yours in what we were rolling otherwise.
Yeah.
That's why it would stymie any kind of. But still, what I was rolling in random seed chart was still complicating it.
Oh God, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that works. But I mean, I could have played this from like being Brown, the janitor. You
Sure,
know what I
of
mean?
course
And
you
then my
could.
son on there, and then I would have had telltale signs of like tracking down if somebody
Yep.
was trying to
Yep.
plant something in my thing to blow it out. It could have been the Russians that were trying to do that, and I was
Correct.
trying to suss that out.
Yeah, I mean,
and
you
survive.
literally, in Dark Age of Man or this, you're going to be able to play any kind of character that you want to play. And there will be a way for your character to be involved in the world, right? And because some of these random seeds would affect your character directly, or they would affect the base, or they would affect the people or they would and some random seeds would affect whoever's the commander or whoever's head of security. So if Jose was playing tonight, he might not have been a security person. He might have been a medical deck or whatever he might have been doing. He might have been with the UN security for whatever, right? So that we would have been going back and forth. And
could have Star Wars it back and forth,
Yeah.
like you're saying, and he would have been dealing with.
Right.
He might have been on that convoy trying to rescue these people as
Correct.
Carter goes down the drink of that.
Right.
That sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, when you said she got swallowed up in that crevasse as it opened up in her buggy, I was desperately wanting to find out what had affected them.
Well,
and get them back to the.
And that result came out of a failed roll. You made a failed roll.
Yeah.
And I said, how am I going to represent this failed roll? Oh, it's going to have to be Carter, and it didn't matter how many random UN people I killed, but it has
only
to
made sense. That was
it has to affect you.
Me.
Yeah, it has to affect you and what you're trying to do, right? So obviously Carter might have had more information. So anyway, you had a failed roll, and I said, well, this doesn't have to affect you directly. It could affect something that could affect you later.
Risk reward, like in a narrative. You know that if it isn't going to pan out, it's going to be to the detriment of what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
I do, from like the setting, I was thinking so Spartan, like just an outpost.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we first set it up, I said, okay, there's a Russian base. It's got to be a little bit more sophisticated than just like the thing where it's a small group of people and barely trying to survive.
Right.
You got to, build out the social aspects of it. You may have a detective on base on a larger base, so you may have a need for different specializations. At least that you don't have to break up mechanically so much, but you could just say this is what he does. This is his focus and intent and his purpose within the society. But to me, like I'm thinking, like in Ungland, we got Ungland, and you got these other areas on the moon that could be different bases.
Of course,
different. North Korea could be around the corner with a little base that we don't even know about yet. It's what I mean, unless you get a satellite pass. But to find it there, it could be like covered or who knows. Love what you did with the monolith, because that was what I had rolled. Monolith on my chart.
So what I did was just had the monolith stop whatever had created that beam, and was now just orbiting the moon. Right? It had whatever had occurred between it and the Russian base, or it and the ground that happened to be in the path of the Russian base. I don't know. Right, but I had just said it that it's
more like a beacon and a monolith.
Yeah, it was now just orbiting Earth, and you guys haven't even had a chance to approach it to investigate it.
Oh, I know. That's why I was like,
but I didn't know that, so I described it because you could have started off by saying we've got to get investigators, we got to get people out there and investigate this monolith. I didn't know where you were going to go. I mean, again, part of our goal of this type of play is yes, you might be putting out fires like you were doing, but you could have also had your own plan. Hey, I want these Russians out of my base, so let's start building some fucking units. Recruit these Russians to start. I mean, you could have literally said, my goal is to get these Russians moved out of my base. Let's build some temporary units, right? I mean,
well, that's what I was doing in the.
And you're still responding to. You're still going to be responding to stuff that occurs on the random seed chart, right?
Well, of course, because everything that you say, you got to realize that there's a weight and accountability to it, because. If you're trying to introduce something, that thing that you introduce can be used. Like it's like the thing. Be careful what you say. Can be used against you in a court of law. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that you put in the narrative.
That's right.
It all of a sudden can be to your detriment, not just to your benefit. Even though first and you thought of it that way, but I wanted to have like a thing with like I think we should have more of a robust moon. Like there's going to be railgun, mining on the moon.
Sure. Well, mining is one of the chief reasons we might be there to begin with, is mining. That might be what takes us to the moon.
And the rails of the contents could be thrown out in an orbit that orbits Earth that could be picked up and then dropped down. Space elevators, what I had envisioned, with nanotubes all the way up to a rotating like space. I
mean, I just took your basic idea and just made it a little larger. I just said this is larger than we originally. In the first episode, it didn't matter how big you made it because it was my character was doing a particular thing, but I knew I was going to make this larger to account for the fallout, and it had to be big enough to house a colony. At some point, it's too small; it can't sustain itself. It needs to be big enough to sustain itself, right?
Yeah.
But
I think like on Mars will be the fledgling area,
right?
And even in the asteroid belts, there could be little outposts there for mining of the asteroid posts, but. Also, you're going to have a lot of things in, like I said, the big space station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Go up the elevator, get
Yeah.
into it, and then there's going to be several that you can latch onto
Right.
as they change out and go around around the Earth. But it's got to have enough of a civilization
Right.
to warrant different professions.
Correct.
Where people can get as creative as they want to, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way, it kind of like you're not only on England, like the moon would be England and different places you could go to,
Sure.
like, you know, in translating, but you could leave that
Sure, of
and
course.
go to,
Yeah,
like we have
you could
Ireland, or we
be
could have
merchants,
whatever.
traders, mercenaries, bounty hunters.
Yeah, they're going to be frigates and
Cops,
all throughout these
Rangers.
these
Yeah, I
areas.
mean, my God, astronauts working for
Smugglers.
NASA, just doing, yeah. That's the whole point. However, now if we have 5 people to come together to play, we might want to tie them all to something so they're kind of together, but maybe not. But again, I mean, like in Dark Age of Man, there have been games where we literally weren't in the same town. My character started in the woods. You guys started, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't even meet. I think again, I met. So we've had times like that, which again, it works perfectly. All that happens is some players have to sit and wait quietly while the GM resolves scenes with.
Yeah.
You know. But no, it'll work great. The key is. How did you like rolling a dice pool versus just a die? Did it matter to you? Did it feel more engaging, less engaging? I like a dice pool, especially when it's easy to recognize the result quickly.
I like, well, like I said, kind of doing the other game where I have a die pool, but everybody grabs from it, and you know that way you break up everything. This right here is like I recognize what you were doing with it. Instead of like saying so many pips on one dice, you can have similarly just roll how many dice. Instead of me saying 4 sides of this one dice, you say just roll the dice and there's 4 that show up at one number.
Correct.
It's still relatively the same.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit easier to identify. The only thing that I would say is that it can impart a level of, like, I knew when I was telling you like a 1d6 because you like the binary, right? We've always had this little thing where we argue. I say like, because everybody throws a dart, you get closer, like, oh, I got a 19, it was almost a 20. No, it was still, you know what I mean? It's still a binary thing, but our subconscious still thinks that, oh, I was so close. You wasn't close, you just...
Right, that's right.
You either get it or you don't.
Yep.
But so I was doing a D6 because I knew you'd like that, and it still works in effect. I would just say if you're rolling 4 dice, that like 2 of those, the last 2 times I rolled, the last time I rolled, I got 2 6s and 2 1s. So I could look at that as a gradient of like how many successes. Like when you're playing like the Alien game, we rolled multiple D6s, and the D6s you rolled determined the amount of successes that would inform how successful you were. So I'm saying, like we're doing it at binary. Like
all I'm saying is your rating is the number of dice, and that number of dice just improves your chance of rolling a 6. You got to roll a 6.
That is the truth. I'm
just
saying on the side.
What it does is it gives us wiggle room to add gear. Like if you said, "Hey, I have special tools," that might give you another die to add to that pool, right?
Yeah.
So it gives us some wiggle room, right? Yeah, it just gives us a little wiggle room. Yeah.
All I did was like make a safe assumption that you have the working tools. If you don't, then it would like you slip down from like a professional to amateur grade, right? So that's what I was doing it on the back end.
Sure.
But we could sit, and that's kind of like you know, I mean, what they do in Forbidden Lands. You add a dice for your pool, or you could it helps in that respect. I'm just telling you that like it isn't indicative of like a binary set. I understand, to me, all I need is 1 6.
Yep.
But it will, when people are playing it without us being there and saying, so we couldn't hold them to the fire to say, it's just binary, it don't mean anything. Because I think they're going to naturally infer the level of success or give you narrative prompts if you roll like, oh crap, I rolled 3 6s. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, you were really successful, which is what we kind of do and automatically in Dark Age of Man or whatever. I'm just saying that. But mathematically,
and see,
still works
I'm literally thinking about Space Age of Man. You're literally rolling just to find out pass fail. I don't care about any of that other stuff. That ain't going to stop people from saying, "Dude, I rolled 3 out of 4." Yeah, well, that's fine. But,
no, it can be played that way. I'm just saying when people sit down, it's going to be, I think, a natural inclination because we all like, oh, I was really close or I was really successful. It's like a margin of difficulty, even though I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Somebody else sit down and play.
Right.
I don't know that really wouldn't affect it other than just giving them narrative bells and whistles.
Right.
You know, or if they want to exercise that to say, ooh, man,
Right.
well, the horse you found is a thoroughbred, or
Sure.
it has like
Sure.
tassels
And
hanging off
that
the
might be a
side.
lot easier if we were at the table. Online without a dice roller, I don't know how many sixes you roll, so it's harder for me to
Exactly.
impart that, or for me to recognize it's what you're doing. You're flavoring it as a very successful roll, right? You could still do that; it wouldn't matter to me because all I care about is whether you pass or fail. If we were at a table, that might be the inclination because we'd all see the dice at the table, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying. To me, it's great. I understand it, but that's the only caveat I would say. It's like, and I don't see that as game breaking because all it does is like, since it's narrative, it's just like somebody may flavor it a little bit.
And like I said,
or,
we can easily use the just roll your a 3 and up, 4 and up, 5 and up, whatever, that works too, right?
it's the same. It's
Which
the
is
same
AI.
thing,
I mean, AI has
you know?
4 attributes, and AI just says you get to. So when you build your character, and the rules I've written for this, you have an array of numbers: 2 2s, 2 3s, and 2 4s. You can put those on any of your 6. So that's why you have 2 2s on those 6. You have 2 somewhere, 3 somewhere. Right.
Yeah, that's
so
basically
because
what
we're
we
not
were
going to level
doing.
up. I mean, our game will have no leveling up, no character. Once you create your character, whether you play 10 sessions or 1 session or 40 sessions, those stories are going to be that character in that space of his life already, what he is, and right. What'll change is your character's experiences, and your character will experience things that maybe change your personality or change your thoughts on the world. But your character sheet, once your character's made, will never change. There is no leveling up. There's no right. Yeah.
That's the way. Essentially, it's just a restructure of what. Because I said like the 4 you hear for second com, and you made 6 attributes where I only had. What I did was like
They're
take the commander
disciplines.
off. Yeah.
So
I took the commander
engineering
off.
is a discipline, and we can assume all sub skills that would fall under engineering. So anytime in the game you do something be related to engineering, we make assumptions. We use engineering and all skills that would fall under engineering: mechanics, security, command, astronaut, which would be for piloting and certain things. Whatever sub skills would fall under astronaut scores.
What I did was have just like engineering and mechanics the same, astrogation and piloting. I just had it kind of like the overlap already, and just so I had more of a dialed in. And what you did was just break those apart.
Yeah, I want it broader. So there are 6,
which would lend to more.
And when somebody does something that falls under what would be security, that's what they use. It falls under engineering, mechanics, astronaut, which would include piloting, and all I'm doing is saying they're disciplines, and they're all going to be educated and have some level of skills under all those disciplines. But if my 4 is in security, that's where I'm basically a security specialist or a commander or whatever, right?
And it's the same, but like rolling 4 dice as opposed to like 4 sides of a dice. Because all we said originally, and like I said, what we did was start simple and realized when you play that way, if it needs to be broadened, and what you did was just break it up to where there was like enough disciplines across the board, and then the 4, 2, and 3 are still there, whether you're rolling
Correct.
5 and 6 success,
Correct.
4, 5, and 6, or 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Correct.
That's still 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
You're just rolling them,
Right.
So I mean, it's
Well,
just
when it
done differently, but
yeah,
it's
it is
still
done.
easily recognized.
If we make it one single die, that's all you'll need. Anybody on the planet who has a Monopoly game will be able to play it with one. If we leave it a pool, people are going to need at least 4, D6s, right?
Yeah, and I mean sometimes it's like us. There are a lot of psychological things with the player, whether or not you feel like you've gotten closer. I'm just saying this kind of thing would kind of initially make someone, if like I'm rolling, ooh, I got really close because I got so many successes.
Well, I mean, like
One, you don't have
ubiquity.
to worry about that.
Well, like ubiquity, you count your successes because it's odd. Even if you roll even with a D8, that's a success.
Yeah,
And then you just count them, and that matters.
Evens and odds.
Right. In this, you roll a pool. All the dice give you is a better chance of rolling a 6. That's all the dice. All the numbers are going to do for you, right?
Well, I know probabilistically it's doing that.
But you're not going to need to count them. All you need is 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3, whatever it is. You just need 1. And a simple rule: when you're helping somebody, it's automatically 4 dice. So if I'm only a 2 security and I'm in a fist fight with somebody and I holler for your help and you come running over to help me subdue somebody, it automatically becomes a 4, and the guy with the highest security makes the roll, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's an easy way to also
easy.
show how people are helping.
That's more beneficial to be able to compile helping because, like to me, whenever I introduce that just one die, and granted, like AIA, you pull up and you go like, if somebody's helping you do something, how would you factor in?
Right.
All of a sudden, that's why the need for like going from one standpoint, like amateur to professional. Got two amateurs there. Maybe you can cobble it and just say one roll for professional, leave it to one guy.
Right.
But this situation is, you can roll. Even if you have two different people that are and twos and twos, each of them roll it.
Right.
And then if they get a 6 on each of them, it's successful.
Yeah, and mechanically, I'm trying to avoid adding. I don't want to be doing any negotiation in session ever. So as I wrote to you privately in Discord,
I agree.
The thing that Dark Age of Man does well, and it does it really well, but one of the compromises that we did was having this negotiation, and that negotiation is not even like a negotiation, contract negotiation. It is a negotiation of processing power that players are going to say, well, what do I need to roll? What DV do I need to beat? Don't worry about it. Just roll the dice, and I'll tell you if that's a problem. That becomes a conversation I don't want to have in play. So I want it to be where they know. They look at their sheet and they go, okay, man, I mean, this is, and whatever they're choosing to do, I could say, hey, make a security check here. Oh, 2 dice. Yeah, I got it. And I can, they get what they want, or I narrate what happens, but I don't want to be negotiating, well, add 2 dice to this, man, you get a bonus, or there will be none of that kind of shit. I want it literally, there will never be conversation about the negotiation of what's the difficulty. What do I need to roll for this? Nope. It's, hey man, roll security. And they know that all they need is 1/6. Right.
Yeah, are they focused on how they can narratively describe it that would give them leverage? Right?
Yep.
So, I understand that's a part of it too. And I'm not saying the small little thing I said about somebody's inclination to say the multiple sixes might
it is.
I know it doesn't work that way. That's the only thing. But see, like there's parts that from the initial thing I said that isn't easily factored in. Like you're saying, tool, I had to put that on the back end.
Yeah.
Right? Or just shifting of this and that.
Correct.
Now it might be readily easy for somebody to go like if you got the tool, add a dice to it, and then it actually gives you more of a chance to
a better chance
to do that.
Of getting a 6.
If you do that, then somebody can feel from a player standpoint that they got more of a fuller character sheet to say, oh, well, I got this.
Right.
But then, I don't want that to become, maybe that would lend to what you could actually access or get or add to your character sheet and start having to utilize your resources. And it's important whether it's working or not, or whether you lose it. Like in Dark Age of Man, you can lose your sword and all of a sudden it's a +1. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Which is one of the compromises that we made that I didn't want. I didn't want to have a gear modifier in that. So all the things we do in Dark Age of Man are kind of recognizable traditional things that in a way were compromises for people who want their sword to mean more. And in this, I'm thinking, no, tools are assumed, gadgets. Now, obviously, if I say to you, you've crash landed on a planet, and it'll be assumed that you might have some tools, but not all the tools you're going to need, right? But I'm not going to punish you for that. I'm not going to reward you for tools, and I'm not going to punish you for tools. However, if we decided we wanted that ability to punish or reward, then we could add dice to a pool or remove dice from a pool. I personally, I don't want players spending processing power trying to find a way to manipulate better odds or better rolls or more. Yeah. So when I say to them, oh no, that is all that you're ever going to roll, and that is locked, and you're not going to get bonuses, and you're not going to negotiate a better, trying to remove players from this idea of manipulating the nuances of mechanics. I want them being a character, taking actions, and we can assume those actions. I might have a good screwdriver, might have a shitty screwdriver, might have to use a knife to unscrew something. It doesn't make any difference. Whatever people, we're making some cinematic conclusions. Yeah. I can define if they fail the roll. Well, you failed because you didn't quite have the right tool for this. If that's how I want to define it. But if you succeed, I can just say, okay, you with your screwdriver, it was easy doings. It's done. So I'm not worried about giving a difficulty. We're not worried about saying, well, why is this dragon harder than that dragon? Right? So Dark Age of Man, we can be fighting a dragon and the difficulty literally goes up and down. Well, that's fun. It's a dynamic. But what it ends up doing is it turns the game into a game. It turns it into us negotiating combat. Even though we've removed procedures, we've removed initiative. I'm saying, no. In this version of the Age of Man,
Yeah.
We're going to get away from you even deciding, well, how hard is this? The fact that I'm asking you to roll tells you how hard it is. If you fail the roll, we can narrate that how hard it was is why you failed, right? Or we can narrate how easy it was is why you succeeded. But all I'm looking for is for you to take actions. I'm going to say, well, that falls under security. You're going to punch the guard. You want to knock the guard unconscious? Make a security check. If you succeed, I don't care how many sixes you get. If you succeed, you'll get what you want. Or you will have punched the security guard and gotten an advantage, or whatever we figure out. We haven't even figured out how combat is going to ultimately work. But I'd like it to be situational. You make a roll, and that roll tells me whether you won the combat or lost the combat, right?
Oh, yeah.
It can be over, and I just narrate that as you turn on the security guard, you thump him on the head, well, he gets the better of you, and eventually you wake up tied up as the security guard whooped you in a fight. I don't dislike the idea of concluding combat with one security check, right?
Yeah, and this fine. I think some of the things that we'll have to work through. Well, first I'll say that whenever we are rolling for something, I think that little discussion back and forth where you're trying to jockey for position to be in a more favorable narrative position, that happens really well in Dark Age of Man, to where you can, like, just through the narrative, you know, and we're having to compute and adjust the difficulty accordingly, the DV accordingly,
on
right?
the fly, so, all the time. We
do, and I can understand you wanting to get away from that as far as like having to do that. And the perfect way of doing it, like to me, is like I said initially, just the roll under. I could understand it, but what got me is that no matter if you're fighting an old lady or a dragon, it's still like you just roll your ability, and you can narratively escape that. But I had to have that epiphany driving in yesterday when I said it's really just about the narrative consequences of your actions.
Correct.
But the narrative outlines that. So I just said threat levels as far as like, because like the 3 key, just to pseudo mechanize it, but it was more just an allowance of me saying,
right.
Crap. Well, really, the person is going to know. I don't even have to say it.
Yeah.
Whether if they're about to jump a crevasse and they know if they miss, they know the consequences of that action.
Yeah.
So you could keep it a static,
right,
and then just say do that.
But also,
because the narrative is in the lead.
But also, as I define, this is what I was telling my wife this morning. This is very simple. How I describe and narrate it tells you whether you're even going to try to jump the crevasse. Okay, you come running up, and you're looking at a 15-foot crevasse. Most people are going to go, well, I can't jump that. I got to look for another way. No one's going to try to jump that. But if I define it's about a 4-foot crevasse, you're going to say, well, I'm jumping it. And then I might call for a roll. That'll determine. But most likely, like if you're fighting an old lady and you have a security of 4 and you're going to get in a fight with an old lady, I'm probably going to say, okay, you subdue her. I'm going to decide whether you even need a roll to beat up an old lady versus a dragon, right?
Yeah, well, you get what I'm saying. It was like the first inclination, I think, everybody, when you're designing a game,
correct,
is traditionally is to like,
correct,
oh, this is harder. Let me adjust it on the thing that you're trying to achieve. Like, try to roll this level or higher, so you're getting minimal. And I was like, everything's static.
Yeah.
But when I had that full realization that it's all narrative, and like you ain't gonna, like, some don't even need to be called a roll, or either sometimes, like, if you're really going to try to jump that, if it's feasible, like I had said from my onset, and I don't know why I couldn't grasp it, was that like everybody's going to play with integrity. They're not going to pull off something that isn't like possible. Now, if I'm trying to jump a 15-foot crevasse and I'm on the moon, maybe I might can make it. Right. So
then I would probably call for a roll. But if you were just going to on the moon jump a 5-foot crevasse, I would say, I wouldn't even describe the crevasse to you. I would just in my mind's eye assume you're traversing the moon. I'm only going to pull up something that makes you think, do I want to try this or do something else, right?
Yeah, well, that's the first limiter of what, like you're going to try something. The GM knows, the presenter knows whether he needs to pull it up in the first place, and that's the table.
Right.
So there's a uniform consciousness of difficulty that you're approaching, and that also ties itself with the consequences are going to be more egregious. So you can, as opposed to what I thought, just have that single roll, right? You don't have to adjust like the difficulty to surpass it.
Right.
You just know that if you sink, and that's essentially what I was getting on with.
Yeah.
It's like, really, it just comes with like, it's bound up in it, and that allowed me to just take the off the table of like the gear. Well, look, if he's not having the gear, it may need to call for a roll where it wouldn't otherwise. or the consequences of not having the gear needs facing something is going to be more detrimental. So that just eased things for me to be able to use one dice. Now, if we wanted to have 4 dice, it's great. Like I'm saying, it can facilitate things that I don't necessarily know if we need, like adding gear or doing whatever. Say add one more, or I know some people's going to look at it and go, "Damn, I rolled 2 6s. That was more successful."
Double ass kicking.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying that I can expect people is going to be doing that.
They will.
Probably
just like if I said, "Hey, roll. You need to roll your strength, and all you need is a 3 and up," and they roll a 6. They're going to go, "Whoa! I really kicked the shit out of that."
Yeah, I got closer to my.
You can't help that. You can't help that, right? It's the nature of man to play a game to think that what they're doing.
That'll be the next game.
Which is why, what's the old saying? It's only close in horseshoes and hand grenades. It isn't close in anything else.
Yeah,
right. There's no, that was close. Only in horseshoes and hand grenades, right? Because in horseshoes it matters how close. In hand grenades, if you're too close, you're getting your ass blown up, right? But outside of that, that's complete horseshit. It's not close.
Yeah,
it's,
we're only rolling hand grenades.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Right.
But
now I use it in my sports game to narrate when I roll my pass fail, or I roll a chart in sports and it says it's a 6-yard catch. And I roll whatever, I roll I roll a 20 on that chance that I roll a 1 on the chance of incompletion. I use that 1 to narrate what a great pass it was, because it wasn't anywhere close to being incomplete. It was a perfect pass. But I do that to add a little depth to my sports games, right?
I got to get off here, bud. It's like 7 minutes before I have to. I got an errand to run.
Yeah, it's okay, brother. No, it was great, man. It was great. And we'll talk more anyway. We'll reflect more on this anyway. Yeah. And,
good game, man.
Yeah, great game, brother. Really and I'll talk to you in the next couple of days.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds wonderful, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care.